Hello everyone. Today we're going to go into chapter 5 right here. This chapter we're going to talk about the integumentary system, which is mostly the skin. Okay. So skin, if you read here, is for protection, sensation, vitamin D synthesis. We're going to learn about that later. Helps you regulate temperature. When you sweat or have a goosebump, and excretion of waste. For example, sometimes you sweat, things like that. Okay, we're going to talk about the anatomy of the skin. So there are two layers. The epidermis, epi means on top, so this is the epidermis. And the dermis is everything under, and underneath that is the hypodermis, but is mainly two layers that we're going to talk about today. The epidermis is, as you can see here, we're going to learn later, it's packed of 4 to 5 layers of cells. And down here 8 is the dermis, where all you have the hair cell, the nerve, and the sweat gland. Here's the nerve cells and the hair follicle, and then erector pili muscle for you when you have a goosebump, oil gland. We'll learn all those later. So let's look at the epidermis closely. So it's 4 to 5 layers. Okay, it's known as the stratum. Now, why 4 to 5 layers? It depends on the location. So when we talk about 4 layers, we're talking about the it's another name for thin skin. 5 layer, because it has an extra layer, is called the thick skin, and it's only found in the palm and the feet. Okay, so 4 layers are found everywhere else, and the thick skin, the 5 layers, are only found in the palm and the feet. Now, most of the cells are starting to have, well, keratinized, which means it has keratin, except the stratum basalis. Okay, it's going to, once you start coming up here, once they start moving up, okay, more and more keratin is deposited. Purpose of the keratin is makes things waterproof. Okay, make things waterproof, and it's pretty much a dead. They're dead. Okay, and they're regularly replaced as the you can see mitotically active. Very much in the stratum basalis, as it keeps reproducing cells, it keeps pushing up and up and up and up. Because again, up here, it's dead. Well, and then it will start flaking off, so it will keep pushing upward and keep replacing it. So let's start with the base layer. So we're going to start here at the stratum basale. Okay, the stratum basale is also known as the germinativum layer, attached to the dermis to the basum laminae, consists of basal cell. Because the reason it's called stratum basalis, just remember there's a lot of basal cells. It's a single layer of cuboid stem cells, so it will continue to reproduce and make cells. 2 other cells in these layers are the Merkel cells. It's for touch receptor. It's a nerve cell. So if you look at the picture here, that's a Merkel cell. So when you touch the skin, you'll know it's for touch receptor. And there is melanocyte. Melanocyte produces melanin. Okay, it's for UV protection. Okay, so it makes your skin darker. If your body produces a lot of melanin. Okay, the next layer, it's a spinosum, which is right above the basale. Okay, this layer. Stratum spinosum. The reason it's called stratum spinosum is because it looks like little spines. Okay, it's joined together by desmosomes. Remember what we talked about desmosomes in the last chapter? Desmosomes are a little thing that holds the skin together. There are 8 to 10 layers of keratinized, which makes keratin, and which I told you about, is a water repellent substance. Okay, water repellent glycoprotein. So again, right here, okay, they're joined together by desmosomes. Okay, desmosomes. Next layer is the stratum granulosum. Now, the reason it's called granulosum is because it looks like there's a lot of granules. I'll show it to you. Oh, you also find dendritic cells called Langerhans cells, which acts like macrophage. You guys remember macrophage? They are migratory. They go everywhere to devour foreign object and bacteria or whatever that doesn't belong there. Granulosum and lucidum. 3 to 5 layers of cells which accumulate more keratin, okay, and keratohyalin as granules, and is flattened, and the organelles are disintegrating. So pretty much saying it's dying, okay. So it's only find the stratum lucidum, which is the thick layer. It's only found in the palm and the sole of the digit. And they're dead and flat with elatin, clear protein rich in lipid. So as the layers start to die, they leave behind keratins, the organelles. Okay, the stratum lucidum. Remember we talked about the thick skin. That's in there as well. And the top is called stratum corneum. Okay, 15 to 30 layers in height, highly keratinized. Okay, or when you say keratinized, you can say cornification, which is, you know, when you have a callus or something, you call it a corn. Okay, is dry, is dead. This prevents infection and dehydration, and also makes it waterproof. Okay, and you're constantly losing cells. Okay, their entire layer, the 15 to 30 layers, is replaced every 4 weeks or so. Okay, so that was the epidermis. Now we're going to go into the dermis. Now, dermis is divided into 2 layers. Okay, papillary layer and reticular layer. Now, papillary layer is loose areola, and which is on top, right here. So if you remember, it looks like fingers. Okay, it's fingers-like projection. Okay, this is the papillary layer, and it's got all kinds of stuff in here. Okay, adipocyte, fibroblasts will make the loose connective tissue. We talked about macrophage. There's lymph vessels, nerve. Meissner corpuscle is another nerve receptor. Is for touch. Okay. Down here, this whole mess is a dense, irregular tissue. Okay. It's got nerve and sensory receptor. It's got the hair follicle, actually goes all the way down here. Smooth muscle and glands, lymph, and blood vessels. So if you look, let's go look back at here. So up here, it's where the papillary, okay, and here is the reticular section. Okay. the hypodermis, it's all the way underneath the dermis. Okay, it is not the skin, but important for survival. Hypodermis, aka subcutaneous, so it's underneath it. The skin rests on it, attached to the muscles and bones. Pathway to the blood vessels, so the blood comes up through the hypodermis into the dermis. Okay, it's got loose connective tissue with half our fat store for padding and insulation. So it's down here. So now we're talking about melanin. Remember, melanin comes from melanocyte. Okay. Why do we have color? Well, hereditary, environment, and physiological. Skin and hair and eye pigment are inherited. It comes from the melanin. Who makes it? It's the melanocyte. And what is the function? You remember, is for UV protection. Okay. Eumelanin is people with black and brown skin, and phenomelanin is red. It's more on Caucasian, where when they get sunburned, they turn red. Okay, and here are the melanosome, and which is the melanocyte makes the melanin. Okay, right here. Some regions of the skin have more melanin, some have less. While all people have the same amount of melanocyte, they varies in amount, type, and distribution and size of melanin granule, which is inherited. So, of course, the darker you are, the more melanin is distributed. Environmental exposure to sunlight or any UV light, hormone. Sometime when you're pregnant, you will have darker areas in your body, like your armpit and things like that. And if sometimes you have diabetes, sometimes they have a darker area in the patch behind the neck. Also, when you have amount of blood perfusion of tissue, aka oxygenation, you know, when you're flush, you'll be more red. In the skin, well, you can show it in the skin; it will show up. And when you eat too much carrots or something, sometimes you turn orange. Okay, it's accumulation and lipid soluble and accumulate in the lipid that's around the stratum corneum, and then you have a orange or yellow hue. Okay, so that is part 1 of the chapter 5. Okay, part 2 of chapter 5. We're going to go into more of the dermis, where there are hair follicle and glands and nails and all that. Okay, so hair, you have hair pretty much everywhere. Okay, function as sensory, protection, thermal regulation, color from the melanin as well, from the melanocyte. In the papillae, we're going to learn where that is. Okay, the hair follicle develops from a group of epidermal cells, and then it projects into the dermis. And here